Hey Year 9, so this fortnight you're going to be doing some work on a special day and festivals. So you're going to be looking at a couple of different Spanish festivals and some festivals that we do celebrate in England too, or different religious festivals. If you have a look at your success criteria or your outcomes on the left hand side, so your grade 3, 4 and above, and the first thing that you are going to do today is match up the Spanish to the English. Make sure you make a note of this vocabulary because there's a lot of new vocab today that you're going to be working with alongside your different tenses, and by keeping this vocab and revising it, it's really going to support you in doing the tasks throughout the lesson and at the end of the lesson, which you'll need to submit to show my homework. Your answers for the starter activity are on the right hand side, so make sure you've green penned them and you've got the correct answers. Most of them you should have been able to work out. You should have used your understanding of tenses and cognates to help you. So the first thing you're going to do, Spain, Mexico or Argentina, you're going to pick one of them to translate into Spanish. Lots of the vocab in these different translations, you will be using the vocab on the right hand side. So once you've done, green pen it with the answers on the next slide. On this slide, you're going to be looking at a couple of different festivals. So you've got the text from Alba, Mariam and Fair. They're talking about different festivals or celebrations, and what you need to do is you need to match the 3 boxes to either 1, 2, 3 or 4, which is going to be the name of the festival. Then you're also going to match it to the picture of the activity that they do during that festival. Remember, when you're reading Spanish, you don't need to know every single word. That will never, ever be the expectation. You just need to make sure you're using cognates, so your words that look like the English. They're going to help you understand the gist of the text and understand the meaning, the general meaning of each text. And then after that, you might need to do a bit more work to see if you can work out using grammar, any grammar rules that you know, any different tenses. This should take you about 5 minutes, because after you've matched them, what I want you to do is find the reflexive verbs in the text. So remember, the reflexive verbs as an infinitive will look like this. So we did some work on this at the start of the year and throughout the year, and you did it on Mr. Nero's PowerPoint a couple of weeks ago as well. So it should be relatively fresh in your mind. So one that we used, for example, would be getting up in the morning. So levantarse is to get up. And we know that's a reflexive verb because it's got se at the end. So even though that's your infinitive, your AR is your infinitive, because it's got se at the end, it's a reflexive verb. So the way that you're going to do it is, when you are looking for them in the text, the say will go to the front, and that might change to may instead to talk about yourself. And then, like you do with the present tense, the AR you're going to take off and you're either going to change it to O, as, a, amos, ais, an, or the different tense that you are talking about. So this should take you about 5 minutes to find them reflexive verbs and match up the different festivals. Over the next couple of slides, you're going to be looking at key vocabulary and different Spanish festivals particularly. So the first thing I want you to do is match up 1 to 12 on both sides for key vocabulary that you're going to be working with. If you pause the video now, or if you give yourself a couple of minutes, and then we'll go through the answers just to make sure you can green pen them and you can use them moving forward, which will also help you when you do your writing task at the end of the lesson. So again, the way that you're going to work these out, you're going to look for cognates. You're going to immediately look for the words that look like the English, the words that you already know, and then process of elimination or different grammatical clues that might help you. So torre is tower. Concurso is competition. Equipo is team. Batalla is battle. Histórico, historic. Elegante, which is elegant. Desfile, which is a procession or a parade. Caballo, horse. Toro, bull. Emocionante, exciting. Peligroso, which is dangerous. And then extraño, which is strange. Make sure you've got a list of this vocabulary because it will be used throughout the lesson and in your different activities that will be on the following slides. So on this slide, what you are going to do is you are going to work out what these bullet points say. You can do a bit of a Google, you can have a look on YouTube and search the festival, which is called Los Castells. So if you pause the video now, give yourself a couple of minutes just to work out what that vocab means, and then I'll go through it. So the first one, the castells are human towers formed by men and women. They're also formed by children because the way that it works is obviously the stronger, older people go on the bottom, and then towards the top you'll actually have children as young as about 5 or 6 years old climbing to the top because they're the lightest. Then you've got that they train during the year for competitions and shows, actuaciones or shows, and every team wears a different colour top. So they all have the same uniform basically, but they have like a different top for their particular team. La Tomatina, you've probably already heard of it, which is the tomato throwing festival. So again, pause the video now, do a bit of research or watch a video and translate these 3 bullet points. You don't have to translate them word for word, just get an idea of what the festival is on about. So it's on the last Wednesday of August every year, and it started in 1945. So people throw tomatoes to one another, and it lasts for an hour, and it's the biggest food fight in the world. San Fermin, which is in Pamplona. So again, a couple of minutes just to do a bit of research and work out what these bullet points mean. So the festivals of San Fermin are celebrated every year in July, and basically it's a group of different festivals, and one of the festivals or the activities that they do, which is the most famous, is the Encierro. And the Encierro is the bull run, where a bull runs through the streets and people run in front of the bull and they're chased by the bull. It consists of bulls which run through the streets, which fill the people, and it's very exciting, but also it's dangerous. El Colacho in Burgos. So again, a couple of minutes, have a look what it is and translate the gist of these 2 bullet points. So nobody knows the origins, so no one knows where this old and strange custom or tradition came from. And it's basically a man dressed as the devil, El Diablo, who jumps, so saltar is to jump, jumps over babies or children to bring them health and good luck in the future. Same again, a couple of minutes, Google, YouTube, and work out what the bullet points mean. So it says here we see the tradition of commemorating or remembering the historic battles between the Moors and Christians. All of the participants wear very elegant like costumes, trajes, which are costumes or suits, and there are like processions or parades with horses and music. So all the vocabulary on this reading comprehension we've just been through and I've just translated for you. All you're going to do now is you are going to look at the right hand side and you are going to answer which of the different festivals are they referring to. So towards the end of the lesson, what you're going to do is you're obviously going to be doing a bit of writing again, and you're going to be describing a festival that you've been to, for example. So the main thing we're going to be needing to use in this lesson is the past tense, specifically the preterite, because the preterite is something that happened once in the past. I've paused the video now just to spend a couple of minutes looking at these different boxes, and I want you to give each of the boxes a title or like a different, a specific word group. So the first one would be a time frame, because you've got el año pasado, so last year, last week, 2 months ago, and yesterday. So pause it now, spend a couple of minutes just to give each of them boxes like a title. So the next one would be a verb, so these are all in the past tense. The next one is a noun, so it's the event that you're talking about. Then you've got a connective, and, but, however. An opinion, I liked, I loved, I didn't like, I hated. Justification, you say going on to say why. And then adjective, which is your describing word, and then just going back, another connective added in, ya que, since, porque, because, dado que, given that, and como, as. So if you are struggling at any point during the lesson or when it comes to writing your own piece, use this sentence formation or use the sentence builder from last lesson, which was attached as a document to the Show My Homework assignment. So if you put all this together, you'll end up with a sentence saying, for example, last year I went to see the festivals of San Fermin and I liked it since it was exciting. And you've got the whole sentence there in the past tense. What you're going to do, the grey box on the bottom left corner, it says you need to reorder the words for number 1 and 2. So you're going to use the sentence formation to reorder them into that correct order. Then you're going to translate the sentence. And then once you've done that for both of them, you're going to write 2 of your own using the sentence formation on the screen. So you did one of these last fortnight, should be relatively easy to do now. You've got your different options at the bottom for your grade 4, 5 and 6. So grade 4, I want all of the, I want present, preterite, perfect and near future done for visitar and bailar, so your AR verbs. So if you are struggling, all you need to do is look at the patterns up here, what they end in, and then you need to replicate them in your answer. If you are going for grade 5, I want you to do all of the tenses for visitar, bailar and comer. And then for grade 6, you're going to do all of the boxes. It's a bit more challenging though because there are a couple of irregulars towards the bottom. Remember, if you are using these different tenses and you are confident with them, that's the way that you're going to be bumping up your grade, especially starting your GCSE course in year 10. Give it a good go, follow the patterns, that will be the main thing to help you. If you are struggling as well, remember in the back of your books you have the blue verb table that we used to refer to in lesson, so you can always look back at that to help you. But again, the top row that says probar already has a lot of the structures. On this slide, you are going to translate. Now, I've done it a bit differently because normally this would be a paragraph that you'd have to translate, but I have split up each of the different sections that I want you to focus on. So last year is a set phrase. I went is one word, it's a verb. So you're going to look at everything individually, which means if you don't know one of the particular parts, you're just going to either have a guess or leave it out. But what some people tend to do is, because if it's in a paragraph and you don't know where to kind of split each part up to, if you don't know a part, you might just end up leaving a whole sentence. So trying it like this might encourage you to give each bit a go, and then if you do leave anything out, it's only going to be the smallest bit. A lot of this vocab you will already know. The topic vocab is what we will have looked at during the lesson, and you just need to be very careful with stuff like stranger than, because remember, that's going to be a comparative, but in Spanish the way that we do comparatives is you'd have to say more strange than. Again, with a very strange tradition, your noun goes at the start, so you've got to say a tradition very strange. So just be careful with your word order throughout. Once you've done that, on the next slide you've got your answers, and green pen them. So finally, your writing task for this week is going to be to describe a special day. Now, the way that I'd advise you doing this is, imagine you've been to one of the Spanish festivals that we have either looked at, or if you have been to a Spanish festival and you're confident in describing it, that is fine. Obviously, if you're talking about a special day that's already happened, you're probably going to be using the preterite tense, which is something that you did once in the past. Remember to use your verb tables and your key vocab that you've made a note of during these lessons to help you. So, as standard, I would expect you to be using the preterite tense and the present tense to give your opinions. So you might say, I went here and it was great. I like this festival because whatever reason. So that gets your past and your present in. Obviously, if you're going for a higher level, you've got orange, which will be getting you to a grade 4, and you've got your red, which will be getting you to a grade 5 and above. See how many of these different aspects you can fit into your work. Some of the work that people have been submitting recently is absolutely incredible, and the work that you're doing at home is something to be proud of. The way that you're keeping up your level of Spanish is absolutely fantastic. So just make sure you stick at it. Use all the vocab that we're using up until now, same as what we're doing lesson. We don't just teach one lesson and then move on to the next lesson and do something completely different. It's all in a big scheme of work that we start at one point, and then by the time we end, we keep building on the same sort of stuff and adding new stuff in. So don't forget the things that you've been looking at over the past couple of weeks. Make sure you're using them and the vocabulary. Once you've done that, make sure you submit it to Show My Homework with all of the work that you've done for this lesson, and we're going to be putting some examples on the school Instagram page. And then once you've done that, we are going to put on a quiz next week. Please, please, please do not do that quiz if you have not submitted your work, or if you've not properly done the work for this lesson. The whole point of the quiz is that everything in it reflects back on the lesson. So the vocabulary that we've looked at this lesson, the reading comprehension, the different festivals, it all links. So make sure you do the lesson first and all the activities, because that will support you in getting a really good score and showing us that you've understood what we've been teaching this lesson.